This is the Marketing Boss Podcast, where today's top marketing professionals reveal their best tips, tools, and strategies, and we all become better leaders because of it. And here's your host, video marketing expert, Parshell Houghton.
Hey there, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Boss Podcast. I'm Parshell Houghton. Thanks for being with me today. I'm really excited today about our guest. Her name is Jill Kahlenberg. And you'll be amazed by some of the stuff that she's going to share with us today, simply because a lot of us are using a lot of CRMs, a lot of technology, and for some of us, we have to admit that we're not getting the most out of it that we should. But I'm excited about some tactics she's going to share with us today on implementation of these different software tools and things that we use all the time. So to give you guys a little background about Jill, she's been adding new customers and growing sales for companies for the past 20 years with a core expertise building century-old million-dollar brands and capturing market share. Her broad spectrum of work includes marketing campaigns for a diverse range of businesses, including global Fortune 500 companies and small individual enterprises. So we're definitely excited to have her with us today. Before we get into all of that really quick, I just want to thank those who've connected with me so far on social media. And if you'd like to connect, you can find me. I'm Parshell Houghton on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Also, be sure to join our private LinkedIn group called the Marketing Boss Club. That's where marketing professionals like you and me, we can collaborate and grow together. So again, that's the Marketing Boss Club. Come on in and join the group there. With that said, let's jump into the interview with Jill. Jill, thanks for being here with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Parshell.
Absolutely. I always love talking with other marketing professionals like yourself, so this should be a lot of fun. Why don't we kick off, just share with the audience how you got into marketing?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, when I first started, I had graduated from college with a math degree and went into the actuarial sciences field. So after about 4 years doing actuarial science, I realized it wasn't my passion. So I discovered marketing, and I started with Lennox doing direct marketing and worked through database marketing and went into general brand management and worked with wholesalers and retailers and catalog and internet when it was first becoming a marketing presence. And that's how it brought me to starting my own company about 8 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's funny, too. I have a math degree, too. I don't think we do that about each other. So funny. We're both in the marketing world, and we both got these math brains.
Yes.
Well, that's really awesome. And I know that when it comes to, in your position, working with a lot of different companies, as we delve into the topic here, we're always working with different software. It might be HubSpot, Infusionsoft, Zoho. I know that there's tons of these different programs and software that we're always using. And I know for me, from time to time, I kind of get the, it's like a new shiny penny thing. And I'm like, oh, well, this software might have this too, so maybe I should think about switching. And it's so much. So tell me why, I guess in particular, why this topic of using software and how we should be implementing it better. Why is this, the topic you wanted to share today? Well,
it's true. So many of us see what these new systems can do and their capabilities, and the marketing automation platforms and the CRM systems that are out there today are very powerful, and they can really help medium-sized and large companies build that individual relationship with the end consumer and help be able to communicate to that person in the way they want to be communicated, which is a very powerful tool for marketing, and as well at the right time when people are thinking about it based on the habits of things they're doing on the computer, since the internet is such an important and integral part of people's lives, whether they're talking about something on social media or they're visiting a company's website or they're clicking through specific ads or specific content. All those can be indicators for these systems to send the next message. So it's a very powerful tool. They can do a lot of things, and a lot of companies are really leveraging them nowadays. The problem becomes that many companies get wooed by the functionality in these systems and feel like it's going to be kind of a magic bullet. If I start paying the $500 or $1,000 or $2,500 a month to these businesses to have these software, it's going to generate more business. And it's like, putting the tool on the shelf, and if it just sits there, it's really not going to make you money.
Right. That's so interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one of the things that they found is that of all the companies that implement these systems, only about 10% of the system's capabilities are being used after 1 year of implementation.
How much percent, you said?
10%.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so 90% of what these systems can do aren't even being utilized by the businesses that are paying the big money to have them.
Oh, my goodness. When you think about it, it's just such a waste, especially after, going through and getting excited about this program or this new software and then not even using it to its full potential. It seems like a waste. After all the hype and all the excitement about it, why is it that most of us aren't using it? Because I would say for me, I don't use the software that I use. I probably don't use it at about 100% for sure, but 10% is pretty shocking. Why is that?
Well, what happens is usually there's three key areas we tend to look at. The first is the implementation itself. Typically, it's done by a small group of individuals in the company, and ideally, it's people who are very passionate about using the systems and really see a vision for how that can happen. But most times, the people who are actually responsible for the implementation are not the people who actually purchase the system. So maybe it's a vice president in the company that it's their initiative in order for this to happen. But in reality, the people that are day-to-day trying to implement this are much more junior level and don't have that same passion. For them, it's just kind of taking them away from their day-to-day business. And learning a whole entire new system can be taxing on that team, as well as the implementation. It's now something additional they need to think about in addition to their regular jobs.
I see. So how can we be more successful with the different software and the tools that are there? Because that's, like you said, the training has to be there to make sure that the rest of the team is, on point for implementing what they, what the software is supposed to do. What advice would you have for those who are listening that definitely can probably agree that they're not using these programs to the full potential?
Right, and that's a great question. And for that particular area, for the implementation area, there's two key ways companies can try to offset that. One is in the beginning, up front, when they're getting the buy-in for the system, develop and identify a team of people that it will be important to them. Help them discover why it's important and critical to their function in the business and to the business success overall. Come up with some success measures and hurdles that say we'll have a certain functionality live by a certain date and we're expecting it to generate these kind of results, and monitor them, because as people see the results of something, they'll be more willing to invest the time in it. The second option that a lot of companies go with now is having an outside team that helps them with the implementation. People who are experts in the software, experts in marketing, that can help them plan how these campaigns can be implemented. Because another stumbling block can be that the person now working on the system isn't sure how to make the system do what they want it to do. So by having some outside consultants or outside teams who handle the implementation, there can be a more team approach and best of industry things that are applied to your specific marketing campaign. Another area, though, where people fall down that is really overlooked is data quality. So data quality, these systems run based on the data that's in the system. So you can imagine that if we're supposed to send something to Parshell based on what she does or her demographics, where she lives, and we don't have the information about her geography, or it's incorrect, or we think that she has children and she doesn't, we could be talking to her in a way that's not really connecting with her situation specifically. So data quality is really important as well. Email is so popular today. And if we have a bad email address, not only does that message not get to the correct individual, let's say we're trying to email to Parshell, but the more emails that are incorrect, the more likely it is that email delivery systems block your message from even going into the inbox. So that can be devastating as the company gets labeled a spammer, or worse, doesn't even know they're labeled a spammer, and their messages just aren't getting through or being read.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so interesting. I mean, making sure that your data and what you have in there is correct is really important. This honestly seems like something that might easily be overlooked from time to time. So that's a great piece of advice, just for making sure that the data you have in your system is correct.
Yeah, and it can be a real sore point for the sales team as well. If they're setting up a marketing automation that sends an alert to their sales team of these are the people you should be calling on today, and the phone number is not correct, either the salesperson, just doesn't follow up on that lead, or they're spending now a lot of time trying to, go through LinkedIn and find an email or search on the internet to find the correct phone number for that individual.
Yeah, that definitely has to be cleaned up. I can see that it's almost like a nightmare waiting to happen if you mess that up or you do that multiple times. I mean, that's really, really important. It's a really good key to look out for too, and make sure that, our databases and that the programs we're using are, it's almost like we're having to make sure that they are, just like for an employee, make sure that employees empowered to be successful. I think it's the same thing that applies with our software. It's there to do what we need, but we have to make sure that they're empowered to do it correctly in the way it's meant to be done. Yes,
absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing I hear a lot from people when they're, telling us their problem is their list gets fairly old fairly quickly. And they always want to find new sources of how to get the information into the database. It's something that's sometimes overlooked when they start these systems. There's a lot of data on the existing people, but as people are added, how do we get those names? Where do they come from? Which are going to be good names? How do we designate whether they're a lead or a prospect? All those kinds of things become important, as well as how do we keep our competitors from being on our database? Because maybe now they'll see what we're doing sooner and, steal some of our ideas.
Oh, yeah, it's really true.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is. It's something people get concerned of.
Yeah, I'm sure. So here we have, you mentioned data quality is really important. That I see that as a huge key that we need to make sure that we are aware of. What would be another one?
So the third thing that's a stumbling block for companies is having the marketing strategies themselves. So these systems have the capability to automate, report, and collect the results for a lot of really cool marketing strategies. Mm-hmm. But these strategies and campaigns that are consistent with the business goals really have to be developed. So as an example, they'll want to set up something that's a client, onboarding and welcoming process with upselling messages that happen occasionally. And a lot of times we find these companies aren't doing the forward thinking, or they have the idea to have the welcome program, but it just falls down on its implementation. So again, having accountability within the organization, clear goals, or having an outside entity help with that can be really powerful in making sure that these systems are successful.
Yeah, I think that's really key as well. I mean, it's you think about what it is that you want to accomplish and the strategy that has to be in place. It's just interesting how it's all connected, even with the software that we're using. Everything really has to be connected and set up, like I said before, just set up to be successful. So how can how can, as it relates to the marketing strategies and how we're making sure that those are consistent in the programs, are there any specific things that can be done or actual advice towards making sure that's being set up correctly?
Yeah, that's where the analysis and the reporting comes into play. Most of these systems have very powerful reporting, some of which are just designed into the system, and typically they have the ability to be customized. So each company can, at the beginning of the implementation, set up the kind of reporting that's going to be of value to them in making their decisions on which marketing strategies to continue, how to tweak them to make them better, and how they can align with their business processes through whatever their business planning and strategy is. Most companies go through a budgeting planning cycle where they're reviewing this information. Most have board meetings or some kind of executive reviews. That's an ideal time for the people who are running the system on a day-to-day basis to be bringing to their attention the successes or the challenges that they're seeing with the system. So if at the beginning of implementation these things are thought about, these questions will be asked and people will continue to have focus on if the system is being utilized, if it's being utilized effectively, and if it's generating a positive ROI for them with the investment that they're making in the systems and in the resources to run the systems.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit a really key point there, or a term rather, is the ROI. And it sounds like, if these three key areas aren't paid attention to, then the ROI that we want to see, it's not accurate. It's not what's going to be beneficial. And that's huge. I think that's huge when we consider anything that we're investing in, because these systems and these programs, they cost money. And in some cases, depending on maybe the size of your list or your organization, you could be spending quite a bit. So definitely making sure that we're implementing correctly, that the data inside there is accurate, and we're aligning with our marketing strategy. I mean, this is gold, because otherwise we're just throwing money away every month.
Yeah, a great example was there was a manufacturer. He does contract manufacturing for people and really upfront on the design end a lot for things like springs for toys and items like that now are also into the machinery and equipment industry. And he implemented one of these systems, and the first year that he had it, he felt like he was getting people hitting more his website, and he was seeing that it had increased the traffic in what he was doing with the automated system that he had, but he wasn't getting any additional clients, not one. And it wasn't until the second year when he realigned himself with an outside agency who could really give him the expertise from a marketing perspective on how to align the content he was putting out, the processes, the follow-up processes that had with these people, and not just about attracting them to the site, but about really how to have this marketing automation system then build the relationship. And now it's a successful, positive ROI generating thing for him. He's getting several new clients from the actions that he's doing for each effort. So it really was a huge success story when he focused on the implementation being successful of the system rather than just the paying to have the software out there.
Absolutely. And it makes me think of the phrase that says, what you measure, you can grow. If you're not paying attention to it, it's not, and you're not giving focus to it, then it's not able to really grow. So I think that, definitely things that you're sharing here enable us to focus, right, and pay attention to and to be able to measure our efforts, measure what the programs that we have in place are doing. And when we're measuring it, then it can grow. So true.
So true.
Yeah. Now, tell me, what particular, are there any softwares or programs that you highly recommend out of the ones that we've mentioned today to share with the audience?
They all have positive and, challenges associated with them. So what we're typically doing is when we're working with the client, we're fitting the right system for them. There's not one system out there that I could recommend universally that works for everyone. Mm-hmm. Some of them are better suited towards business to business. Some are better suited towards those with sales forces. Some are better suited towards business to retail or those that are selling, and have stores online. And some are easier to use for those who don't have, strong technology savvy people on their teams. So it really does depend on that organization, which of these systems is right for them.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you're right. Each one has its own focus, but
I know that's not the answer people want to hear out there.
It's okay. I mean, really, if people want to maybe have you to take a look at how their business is structured, perhaps maybe you make a recommendation, so to speak. So, with that being said, maybe go ahead and share your contact information if somebody wants to reach out to you if they have additional questions. Where's the best place they can find you?
Sure. So my email address is Jill, Jill, at marketingms.net. So it's MARKETING, M as in Mary, S as in Sam.net. Our website is marketingms.net. And my phone number is 215-262-0419. And I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone further about this, whether they're concerned about an implementation they're looking to put in, they've already implemented something and they just want an evaluation of how they can get more from their system, or if they just want to talk about, here's my company, I want to get one of these systems and I'm not sure which is right for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And thanks for your time and being here with me today, Jill. This has been absolutely wonderful. Some really great tips for the audience as well as myself and our agency. So as we're leaving, are there any parting words or any last bits of advice you want to share with the audience?
Well, I want to thank you, Parshell, for having me, and then also mention that, you having video is also very important and can be utilized with these systems. There's a lot of ways that video can help these systems be more impactful as well by generating excitement and getting people to click to see the video, and then we can capture their information and sending videos through the email. So I just want to mention that as well, that this stuff really ties in all together with all kinds of marketing experts that are out there, and each one can be utilized in a different way.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I mean, that's a really good point. I'll definitely, look to see, because that's really great I guess tying in what we do in particular with our agency and, with the software. That's a really good point. So thanks again. I really appreciate you being here with us today, Jill. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Parshell.
Awesome. All right, you guys, well, that does it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely reach out to Jill to make sure that your company is aligned with the right software. So definitely reach out to her. She's a wealth of knowledge. So until next time, remember, a good boss is a good leader. Go out there and serve your gift to the world because you are the boss. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to the Marketing Boss Podcast with your host, video marketing expert, Parshell Houghton. We'll catch you next time.